You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, GH fans. So we have Sam McCall's death coming soon, and there are some worst case scenarios that could play out with how they end her. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I am just wondering if the powers that be at General Hospital are going to retaliate against Kelly Monaco with a really awful end to her character. Hey, if you're not following us, please click subscribe. And now we're going to talk about 3 worst case scenarios for Sam McCall's death. But just real quick, I want to address what Kelly Monaco said recently. It was in response to a really ignorant comment from, I guess I could only call them a non-fan, about her firing. And the actress fired shots back at this person that was trash talking her with false claims, saying she wasn't fired, and basically walked out on her job. This ill-informed individual said Kelly wasn't fired. She refused to take a pay cut and had to leave. So yes, there were pay cuts, by the way. And Kelly reportedly accepted her cut. That was not the issue. The writers decided to kill Sam, or they were told to kill her character by the powers that be behind the scenes. You know, that would be my guess, because they do control the narrative largely. So Kelly replied to this moron that they should do their homework, and explained that after GH fired Billy Miller, they stopped Sam's storyline and began dismantling her character until she was someone Kelly didn't recognize, and neither did the fans. I mean, I think we've all seen what they've done to her character over the past couple of years. Sam has been nothing but an accessory to other storylines, and just not even seen that often. And that's been going on for a while. And Kelly said in this little reply that it is, quote, retaliation at its finest. And then she promised to share the truth in a statement, which I am really looking forward to reading. In the meantime, I am very worried how the writers are going to kill off Sam, and if that retaliation that she's alleging is going to extend to how they handle her exit and these final scenes. Like a professional, Kelly Monaco did show up and she filmed them, but you know, you can guess that she was less than happy to see Sam killed off in this way. So let's dive into these worst case scenarios for Kelly Monaco's exit. So my top concern is how they kill off Sam, her cause of death. I mentioned in another video, Sam could potentially save 2 lives before she dies. One, of course, is her mom, Alexis. Sam is planning to dive in that river, find the gun her mom tossed so they can test it for ballistics and then get her out of prison. The second was as a liver donor for Lulu. And yes, before you say it, Lucky is an initial match. But now he has to have testing done on whether his liver is healthy. He has been in bad conditions. He has had his body beat on lately. And even if his liver is healthy, then a third thing has to align. Lulu's condition could worsen so that a live donor might not even work, and she just needs a full transplant. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, I do not think an experienced diver like Sam would easily drown in a river, but she could get caught up in a current, get swept into some rocks, hit her head, traumatic brain injury, something like that, something soapy. I've definitely been hoping for a heroic death, but now I fear they're going to do a really lame death. You know, like when they killed Michael's first girlfriend, Abby, remember? They dumped a load of construction debris on her head. You know, maybe they're going to kill her off in some really dumb way. It could happen. So my second concern is how much we're going to get to see of Sam's death. So even worse than killing off Kelly's character in some pathetic way on screen is if they kill her off screen and just tell us about it later. We know Kelly Monaco taped her last episode on September 27th. So as we get into sweeps starting on, I think, October 31st, we should see how she goes. But that doesn't mean that her last scenes that she taped were actual death scenes. You know, there's always the chance they could kill Sam in a car accident, scuba diving in the river, you know, or with a loose bullet from when Psycho Sidwell comes to town, but then not show her death on the screen. They could just kill her, not show it, not show her dead, not show her in the morgue, you know, and just mention that she was killed. I mean, that would be super insulting. And that's why I'm worried. It's back to Kelly talking about about retaliation and this stuff coming out even before she filmed her scenes. Would they do something terrible to punish her on the way out the door? I don't know. My final concern is how General Hospital is going to say goodbye to Sam. No matter how they kill her, a bigger concern is how they're going to handle things once the character's dead. No matter her cause of death, no matter whether she dies off screen or on screen, Kelly Monaco deserves a proper send-off. She wrapped filming at General Hospital 4 days shy of what would have been her 21st anniversary on the ABC soap. So what I fear now is that Sam McCall isn't going to get a proper funeral or a meaningful goodbye to this character. In contrast, like some of the most touching tributes I can remember recently, Sonia Eddy and her character Epiphany Johnson, and with Jacqueline Zeman as Bobby Spencer. That was different though, because those actresses died unexpectedly. So the tributes to their characters were very meaningful. They were shown on screen. They were significant because we were memorializing not just the loss of these characters, but to these actresses that we loved. But with character deaths for living actors, the ABC soap has been wildly unpredictable about how they handle exits. For instance, the death of Spencer Cassadine early this year. He drowned with nobody found, and that was after Nicholas Chavez exited to move on to other opportunities. His character did not get a funeral. They had a cemetery gathering after the funeral for a few family members. Brando Corbin got a reception, but I don't recall them showing the actual funeral itself, which became doubly sad later when actor Johnny Wachter was murdered recently. Max Gale, who played Mike Corbin, got a really good, very poignant death scene, and they did a very loving funeral for him. The baby that Christina was carrying for Molly got a full dramatic funeral along with a cemetery scene. But what are we going to get for Sam McCall? I mean, given that she's got family in town, sister's mom, and a couple of kids in Port Charles, Scout Quartermain and Danny Morgan, you would hope that Sam would get a proper funeral and send off. No matter what, whether you like Sam or not, Kelly Monaco has been a constant at General Hospital for 2 decades for the most part. But what I fear is that we're not going to get a funeral at all. Like, remember when Nicholas Cassadine supposedly died? They didn't show us his funeral. They just had Alexis talking about it afterwards. Now, granted, the writers had probably already decided that Nicholas wasn't really dead, so they probably didn't want to go to the expense of the shoot. But, when I think about this, I also think about the outrage over Stuart Damon's abrupt firing as Alan Quartermain. His on-screen ex-wife, Leslie Charleson, who plays Monica, at the time called it a blatant disregard for the veterans. So I'm worried that that's the kind of thing that we might get. I have fingers crossed and optimism in my eyes that Sam McCall gets a good heroic death and a respectable funeral for her character and a tribute that honors Kelly Monaco's many, many, many years on the soap and the legacy she will leave now that she's gone. That's my hope.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.